Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. Third year there, in establishing this culture, what's one thing that makes your program different?
Well, that starts with the head coach. So Brian is a player's coach, man. I mean, he's young. He won't say he's young, but he's still banging threes in our players' faces like he's Steph Curry out there. I shake my head every time. I'm like, the players will all look at me like, does this kid ever miss? So he's definitely a player's coach, which is one of my most favorite, appealing things about him is he's not a dictator and he's not an old school coach that it's his way or the highway. He is he'll completely change the program to fit the personnel that's coming in. And I don't know if a lot of coaches do that. I know some do, but I'm just saying some coaches make the players change how they play to fit the system. And, I think we're different in that it really is a player-led program. And I think the players that have come over and that are staying with us and haven't left have realized what team leadership really is, that if, the players are the ones doing the leading, you're going to be very successful at what you do. And so this group of kids that we have right now is really a core group. They're really fun to coach. They're talented. They're not as talented as some of the teams we've had in the past by any means, but they are skilled and they work hard. They're there every morning. When we're there, they're already there. We get there early, and then you got to kick them out in the afternoon, and they can play a little bit, and they realize that Brian and our program is truly a one-team program. It's one team is kind of a motto that we kept through the Flower Mound Marcus State days, which is trying to get the kids to pull for each other instead of pulling for themselves. And that's a hard battle you're fighting with society right now. But I think we're different in that way.
Coach, what are some ways that you create that? Because you're right, that is for every team dynamic, program dynamic. I mean, that's a battle. How do you get them believing in that?
The bottom line answer to that, Danny Henderson says this the best, and he's absolutely true. No one wants to admit it, but you have to win. You have to win. You have to win games to validate what you're selling to kids, because you're battling the Xbox, the social media, the girlfriends, everything else that you're battling. Those are hard battles to win,
and so they'll continue to do the hard things if they're seeing results benefit, right?
Yeah, everybody loves to win, and so if you're selling those things and you're not winning, it becomes very tough to sell those and win that battle. So you got to win to win those battles, and that doesn't mean that you can't be an influence on kids' lives,
right?
And that can't, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that angle of it from a coach to player, but to build your program successfully, kids have to be in the gym, and they have to put the phones down, and they have to step away from the girlfriend every now and then, and they have to commit to it. I mean, in these days, especially DFW, Houston, San Antonio, the big city areas where AAU, kids are trying to be seen, and the competition is off the charts. You're playing year round now. And so there really is more than just a high school commitment. You got your AAU and your fall league and all that stuff. So
2 seasons. They have 2 seasons now. Yeah.
So, you're going to have to sell, you got to win. You got to win. Winning, helps you battle those battles and win the battles of everything that you're fighting against to try to instill your culture and instill competition in your program to win. So, and that's what we're kind of battling with right now at Boswell, because we're hammering home the commitment, the excellence in the classroom, the pillars of our program, of Coach Blackburn's program. And we're 50-50 on, you win one, you lose one, you win one, you lose one. And so once you turn that corner, though, it becomes very contagious.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do is turn that corner to where we can get consistently, in a winning program. And, that's not easy to do, but that's definitely our goal. And Brian and us, especially Brian, is really committed all out to doing that. So we're a very organized program. There's nothing hidden in our program. Like, the kids know exactly what's happening. The kids lead that. We have a players lounge, a varsity players lounge that's got. We try, everything Brian does that we do in our program is kind of like geared towards college. So it's got like a refrigerator, microwave, LED lighting, 60, 70-inch TV, all these consoles in there. Just another selling point to get kids to the gym and hang out with each other, so that the team means something to them. And, we're about to go to the state fair here in a couple of weeks. And we did that last year with our guys. And, just as many fellowship things as you can do to make those guys care and love for each other, so that when they get on the floor and the times are not easy, they won't be arguing, but they'll be pulling together, because that's how you're going to win.
Yeah. So two things I wanted to ask. One is about with winning. How important then is scheduling? And I'm not saying scheduling light, but if you want to create this winning culture, obviously you could schedule all horrible teams and then maybe build this false sense of confidence that you are something, or even worse, that players will realize we're not playing anybody good. This isn't helping us either. But how important, or you could go the route. I've had other coaches tell me, schedule hard, get your, in a sense, get your brains beat in, but it'll make them tougher for district. So when you're talking about winning helps, what's the balance there?
Yeah, that completely depends on the squad that you have. So there's no cookie cutter answer to that. When we had Smart and Lucky and Banyard and Forte and that team that went 115-6 in 3 years, that final year we played an ESPN schedule. We were playing Finley Prep and Montrose, and had 4 games on ESPN. We played a brutal schedule, absolutely brutal. But we kind of had to, because we had just won state the year before. We went 38-2 the prior year. So how do you motivate a team that just won the state championship that went 38-2 and you got them all back? And so it just depends on your team. That squad, we just loaded it up because we knew that we were going to be okay in district. And so let's go create a new challenge for these guys. And, you can't not get hyped if you're playing on ESPN. And so that's one scenario. Or like in our scenario at Boswell, you don't want to go schedule that kind of a schedule and get as you said, your brains beat in and start district, 2-10 or something. So there's a balance. It just depends on really the coaching philosophy, and it depends on your district. If you've got a completely brutal district, you definitely probably don't want to schedule a ridiculously tough pre-district, thinking that that's going to, because you're just tired going in, or you're risking injury. If you've got our district's kind of half and half. Of course, North Crowley is the lead at the top, and so the top end of our district's pretty loaded. Very difficult games to win. The bottom part, everybody's in it, and so we'll schedule tough tournaments, but also tournaments that we feel like we can compete in and give our kids a chance, as long as we execute what we're doing. So, and then Brian will schedule 1 or 2 really tough ones, and then he'll schedule 1 or 2 that we think we can, if we play what we're capable of playing, we can go get a win. So there's a balance there. It just depends on your squad. How good is your squad, and how good is your district? I think those are the 2 determining factors on how you schedule.
Jeff Clarkson made a comment when I got to talk with him about how it feels like now so much out there is about recruiting, right? And you've said it a couple of times. Guys leave, some guys come. We want our guys to stay here. You're doing a lot of things to help create that. And Clarkson said, it's now you have to think about recruiting your own players, meaning you've got to do a really good job of creating an atmosphere where guys want to stay. And it sounds like you guys are doing that with not just your culture of excellence that you have, but also, the locker room that you've set up. But what are your thoughts on, because even at private school, we lose players as well,
Sure.
to other places. So it is this idea of what can we do to keep our guys here?
Yeah, used to just you could be a great coach that everybody liked, and now these days, especially if you're in a metroplex,
Yeah.
a big city area where AAU is high, and it's not just a knock on AAU because I'm a huge, huge proponent of AAU. Some of my very best friends are AAU directors. Bonzel with Southern Assault is one of my good friends. So, um, you have to win. I still think you got to find a way to win. That's the number one attractor of kids and keeping kids where you're at. But I think a bigger one is, private school, and maybe you can disagree with me on this, but you went to the colony, you went to public school. That atmosphere of a winning high school is hard to beat.
Hmm.
It's just a different atmosphere of a private or an AAU event versus, a 5A, 6A high school whose football team is bringing, you know, 11,000 kids to the game and the band, and then everyone's coming to the volleyball games. Everybody's going to the. And I'm not saying it's not like that. I mean, me and you could both name 10 private schools right now where they're absolutely ruthless, the fans, and it's packed like that. But across the board, the high school experience, from football to everything that's involved with sports and athletics, is hard to beat. And so, what we've tried to do at Boswell is just create a culture where all those kids are supporting each other. The basketball kids are genuinely and authentically pulling for the football guys to win on Friday night, and the volleyball girls, and going to those games and showing true, authentic, not just going, but really getting into it. And that's fun for the kids, first of all. And then when that favor is returned and that atmosphere is created, on Tuesday and Friday nights for basketball, that's something that is hard to beat. When you're competing with charter schools or other schools that could be pulling. But yeah, you're right. It's just the time that we live, and I don't really dislike it. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I've been on every end of the spectrum with recruiting, to be accused of recruiting, to accuse. I mean, you name it. We were on the front page of the Dallas Morning News, so I've seen it all, and and most of it's a bunch of BS. But
Yeah.
I've just never gotten all upset about that kind of stuff. I feel like you got to sell your program. Quit worrying about other people's programs and do everything you can to sell your program so that kids want to come. And then the key word is what you said: stay at your program.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so. But winning, I mean, we could sit here and talk.
Keeps going back to that.
Uh,
I have kind of two thoughts on it. One, obviously, yeah, the differences between, I mean, being at the colony, and I was also at McKinney High School, so and Naaman Forest, so I'm still feel like I'm a public school guy at a
yeah,
private school. I just happen to love the mission of our school because it
sure.
is a private Christian school, but we do live out that name as well.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
I love the mission of the school, and it's not necessarily to uh it's a different, I'll just say, a different mission. And so there's definitely a difference between the atmosphere that a bigger, I mean, 3,000 plus kids school can bring. I mean, it's just hard to
Yeah,
combat that. But at the same time, still trying to create, like you had mentioned, a program that guys are proud of, love to be a part of, and want to stay. The other thing I was thinking is that you really do, more than ever before, have to be conscious of is the style of play, the skill work, the services. I mean, honestly, look at the services that I'm providing, not just on the floor, but also into their lives, how I'm speaking to their lives. One, you got to make sure that's creating an environment where they feel valued. And again, that's what I think a lot of kids want, us to feel valued. But also, I've decided to quit being surprised anymore.
yeah,
Like, stop being shocked anymore.
Yeah.
When the season's over, we go through our spring, and I love the way we go through our spring. But because we actually try at Faith, we secure that re-enrollment for next year pretty early. And
Right.
so I'll know if I'll get an email or a call like, hey, so and so they have not
Right.
said they're coming back. And I just have to stop being surprised, because you're right. I don't really mind the fact that kids can move around from place to place, especially when, just like in college, if they truly feel like there is a better situation for them and they're able to do that within the rules, that's okay. That's okay. But I have to stop getting butt hurt when
Yeah.
when they leave, as if it's an attack on me.
Exactly.
Most of the time has nothing to do with me.
It feels like it is, but that's not necessarily.
Coach,
We're
it's
just
taken me 10 years to get there, man. 10
different.
years.
I mean, I'm getting out. This will be my last year, I believe, but we're at a time where young coaches, which it's a good thing. We need more young coaches instead of old parts like me and everyone else. But it's just the UIL in general and public education in general. It is a very pivotal point for them, turning point. Like we're going to have to adjust, or we're going to get beat, and that's just the bottom line. And by that I mean they're going to have to get outside the box of, especially with the NIL stuff and everything that's there with that. You can either hate that and knock it, or embrace it and find a way to use it to your advantage. And we're going to either do that or we're not. And I feel like if we just stick to how it's always been, both those organizations that I just mentioned are I mean, parents are going to move their kids to the best situation that they can, that gives their kid the best chance to succeed at whatever else they're trying to do. And that's the bottom line. And, we can be mad at that and take, like you said, how many times have we taken it personal? Like, hey,
Yeah.
attack. The reality is, no, they're just, they're moving on. And so you have to move on quickly, or be mad about it, let your whole program suffer. I mean,
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.